Andy Demetra.
And a very good Thursday evening to you. Time to buckle up and bundle up as the Jackets head up to Chestnut Hill in 2 days' time with all their goals still in front of them. Their final ACC road matchup of the season versus Boston College, 3:30 Toby's Leather at Alumni Stadium in Chestnut Hill. We can't wait to bring you all that action this Saturday on the Georgia Tech Sports Network. But before we head up to Chestnut Hill, we got 60 minutes to talk Georgia Tech football on a brand new edition of the Brent Key Coaches Show, driven by Hyundai. We are once again live tonight from our good friends Hattie B's in West Midtown. Always appreciate them rolling out the gold carpet for us for a second time this season. Last time we were at Hattie B's, Georgia Tech came back with the dub that weekend. Hopefully history will repeat itself on Saturday for the 8th all-time meeting between Georgia Tech and Boston College. My name is Andy Demetra, and without further ado, let's welcome in the man to my left, your head coach of the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. He is Brent Key. Brent, good to see you again. How are you, sir?
Good.
I appreciate the enthusiasm. Even better than the last time.
I can't even fake not having enthusiasm.
You are dripping with insincerity, and we appreciate you for that.
Man, you already start with the big ones.
With what? The big words?
Yeah, to me that's
insincerity?
It's like it's kind of like insecurity, but not insecurity.
A little bit. Dripping with insincerity.
The inside jokes like that no one gets.
No, not one bit. And they all think you hate me, which is also funny.
Do they really?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, because they're just not understanding. Yeah, let's separate ourselves as out of the frame here of the video feed. Well, yeah, because you got a very dry, deadpan sense of humor.
It's not even a sense of humor. It's like it's funny to me, and that's all that really matters.
Well, exactly, and it's an audience of one, basically,
and
with your
half,
humor.
And a half.
And a half, yes, and I'm barely a half.
I won't say who the half is.
That's fair enough. You can leave that to your own devices. It's good to know that you're in a good mood. I know your team goes up to Boston College this weekend in a good frame of mind. Look, a lot of good teams this year in college football have suffered setbacks, and they don't look the same after. But all season, you have praised your team's maturity, its poise, its resilience. What was the message you relayed to your guys dating back to when you reconnected after the bye to, as you put it, turn that emotion into energy and make sure that you attack this last stretch of the regular season beginning Saturday in the proper mindset?
I do not know. That was a long time ago.
I know. It's in dog years. A week ago Monday might as well have been, 2023.
No, we got back, and I set the schedule for the bye week before. All right.
What you got?
So.
Oh, we got a breaking news here.
Yeah. Wow. I don't know if anybody knows Glenn Ingram.
Works on our video content team.
Briggs Ingram made his entrance 1:30 a.m. yesterday. Everyone is doing great.
Wow, we got a baby announcement on the Brent Key Coaches Show.
Congrats to Glenn.
Born yesterday at 1:30 a.m. He's only texting you now, though. I noticed. Well, very good.
I thought it said 1:30 p.m. Then I looked at it. I was like, But like anybody that knows Glenn knows exactly why he's texting me right now.
Because he needs to take tomorrow off.
No, because his radio show starts, and
he
wanted the public service announcement.
He was just angling for a live shout out on the air. Well, congratulations to this is the first time in the history of the Brent Key Coaches Show you've delivered a baby announcement on the air.
Yeah, I thought you were about to say delivered a baby.
Breaking some ground. That's fantastic.
Pretty cool.
And like anybody who works in sports, first child came into the world basically right out of the bye, so couldn't have timed or scheduled that any better. But let's get back to the bye and, just the message you sent here. I'm just trying to steer this back on the skids here, Coach.
No.
Unlike
press conferences.
Unlike press conferences, yeah, that is just some slam poetry sometimes up at the dais. It's very easy for a loss like that to linger, but, what was the message you kind of delivered to your guys to set the tone that you hope they carried it through the bye week and then into game prep week for BC?
Seriously, it was. You look, we got our butts kicked. Lined up, got our butts kicked. It's on me. I'm responsible. All right, and everyone else needs to look in the mirror too, and see what we have to do better and can do better. That's players, that's coaches, that's staff, that's everybody involved. And look, you want to be defined by one game or all the other ones. So you can't let one affect the others. And look, what is it? 133 teams have experienced a loss at least once this year. Mm-hmm. And none of us want to. All right, but the major thing I told the team was the greatest thing that's happened to us all year happened on that Saturday night. The best thing could have happened to us. All right, because now we had a setback. Now we have a challenge that we have to respond to.
Mm-hmm.
So now I know everybody's looking at me like, what are you talking about? We all want to be undefeated every time. I'm like, so do I. Believe me, so do I. I want to win every single game. But you have to know how to respond, and what your response is to any event is really what makes who you are.
Yeah, and obviously having those feelings kind of stew all throughout the bye. I know you're going to come out a very determined bunch on Saturday. Nobody probably felt more pent up during the bye week than that defense. They're a really proud unit back there. What kind of got sideways on them versus North Carolina State? They've been playing good situational football all season long. Still among the ACC leaders in points allowed per game. But it just seemed like they could never quite
get a stop.
Yeah, get a stop,
Make
build
a
some rhythm. Yeah, all those things.
Yeah, you're right. Get pressure. Yeah, you're right. Just keep going.
It's just one thing kind of led to another, which led to another, and it turned into
here's the best way to equate this. Where my NASCAR people at?
Got some NASCAR fans here. Got to, yeah.
All right. So, 95% of the time, they're turning left, right? But they condition, they do strength training, or they train for years and years and years and years, right? But what they train for isn't to turn left. What they train for is when somebody clips the back of them, and that thing starts spinning, right? And the car's spinning out of control. Now you're looking, number one, to save your life and keep other people from getting a tragedy happen. But you're also trying to make sure you save your car so that they can get pulled back into pit, fixed, and finish the race. All right. When that started happening to us the other night, a lot of our guys, we were screaming, "Get me out of this race car! Like, let go of the wheel, get me out of this sucker!" And then it just starts spinning out of control. Mm-hmm. Right. Instead of hammering down and grabbing a hold of that wheel and steering it back into the position it needs to be in. And a friend of mine gave me that analogy, and it made a ton of sense. And I told the team that, and you can't be screaming, "Get me out of this race car." We got to grab that wheel and grip it tight and get the thing stabilized.
Yep.
So, the big thing in the game was, you're right, we've been playing good situational ball, and we had not let the big ones really get behind us a lot of times, right? And it's like I say all the time, when you win games, sometimes it's the worst thing that can happen because people's ears just tend to get clogged up. They don't want to really hear the truth, right? And to speak the truth and to hear the truth, people have to think about, telling the truth is the hard thing. Hearing the truth is even harder, right? Well, sometimes it takes a game like that to really, oh, crap. Right? Coach Key's not just mean. That's a nice way of putting it. But it's like, we've given up some play. We gave a couple of plays, those first two plays of the second half against Syracuse. Mm-hmm. But it was a blowout, right? So it didn't really affect the outcome of the football game. Right? So when you go in there on Sunday and you're with the team and you're giving them this direct the constructive criticism and what we have to do, it's okay. Yeah, we know that, but we still won. No, it doesn't matter you win or lose. I mean, that's why we talk about the outcome doesn't matter. The scoreboard doesn't matter, right? It's about being a better version each week, and obviously we've got to get back on track and do that. And I feel like we have, but at the same time, we won't know until Saturday afternoon.
Yep. But you'll head into Saturday afternoon, 3:30, Tomies Leather versus Boston College, 8-1 on the year, 5-1 in the ACC. Still very much in control. As much as you scoff at the word destiny, you still are very much in control of your path to playing in December and beyond. But first things first, got to take care of business up at Alumni Stadium on Saturday. We're just getting underway here at Hattie B's in West Midtown. We got to hit our first timeout. I'll keep diving into your chicken here. They got some good stuff. They got some good bird here, Coach, as you know, at Hattie B's in West Midtown, and we're just getting started for another edition. It was bad? No? Mediocre? Well,
no.
I'll work on my teases.
That was like the super mild.
Oh, okay. You're talking about yours.
Yes.
Oh, you got the mild flag.
I don't see you eating
tenders.
anything, skinny man.
I got to maintain this.
Stop.
I got to maintain
How
this.
How many miles did you run today?
About 4.8, but I got to maintain this dancer's physique here for the hour. We got to hit our first timeout, and we're just getting underway. Plenty more to get to with head coach Brent Key. It is the Brent Key Coaches Show, driven by Hyundai right here on the Georgia Tech Sports Network. He's Brent Key. I'm Andy Dementor. We are back live on the Brent Key Coaches Show, driven by a Hyundai. Glad to take the show tonight for a second time this season to Hattie B's in West Midtown. All of you folks living on the west side of town, glad we could come to your neck of the woods. And we will be up in Chestnut Hill on Saturday in Alumni Stadium for Georgia Tech versus Boston College. And a guy you know well, Boston College head coach Bill O'Brien. We'll delve a little more into your relationship with Obi a little later on in the hour. Even though you guys were off this week, Coach, the accolades continue to roll in for your guys. Haynes King Maxwell Award semifinalists after a school record 511 total yards of offense versus North Carolina State. We've asked almost every Haynes King question there is this season, but as busy as you are, you stay in touch with so many of your coaching colleagues and friends and former players and former teammates. What's the best comment you've gotten from one of your colleagues this year about Haynes King? Just their admiration for what number 10 has done this season.
Oh, shoot. I can't remember yesterday. I mean, just everybody talks about it, the grit, the toughness. I mean, it's pretty consistent across the board. Other coaches are starting to, you'll get text and calls on Sunday after the game. And I got a burp. I mean, this chicken. I'm gonna be in a coma here in a minute.
Your compliments to the chef, evidently.
Yeah. I mean,
nice poultry coma here?
Maybe.
Okay.
What if I burped?
I mean, it's your show. You can pretty much do that.
Nah, that's
no.
Really,
okay. Okay. Fair enough. Yeah, there you go. Clear the pad a little bit. Give you a little more time to think about some of those messages you've gotten over this past months on Haynes.
Everyone kind of says the same thing. Everybody just there's mad respect for his game and just the way he plays it. And I think the last probably 4 weeks, the tone has changed because I've said a lot. Like everybody talks about him being the toughest player in college football, And I think about 4 weeks ago, I said, "How about we say he's the best player in college football?"
Yeah.
I mean, like he is, but now you're starting to hear that. You're starting to, coaches are saying that, and it's not just the ones that have gone against him or about to go against him. I mean, it's everyone. They're seeing it, and I think obviously I'm biased because of knowing him and what you see with Haynes. It's 100% real. There is no fake to it. There's no put on a show for the media, and he's really this way or another way. It is truly who he is, and his body of work, and just me and him meet a lot and talk, and it was a few weeks ago we were talking about family, and we don't talk football when we get together. We very rarely talk football. We talk everything: family, life, school, all sorts of things. And he said, "Yeah, I'm excited. My family will all be here, and people are coming in town. When we have senior day down the road." And I was like, "Huh? You're not going anywhere. What are you talking about?" And it kind of hit me. I'm like, "Whoa." I really got to. You really have to stay in the moment and enjoy these moments you have with these seniors that are going to be moving on. And I brought it up after practice and talked about really the ones that have been here for the last, that were here prior to the last 3 years, the last 3 seasons, and then the ones that chose to come here that first year. The transfer here because they believed in the vision. They believed in what was going to happen. There was zero proof in it. Zero. The Brett Seithers and Haynes. I mean, you go on and on with the guys that did and the ones that have chosen to stay. And it's pretty cool to know those guys came in here believing in what was a vision, but now are leaving and going to be such a they're going to be ingrained into what this program is for years to come. What they've helped to build.
Now, we'll be talking about Haynes King, what he's done on the flats for years and years to come, but hopefully the best highlight to the ones that he has not yet put together, and that'll all start on Saturday versus Boston College. Haynes would also probably be the first to say that none of these recognitions would be possible without receivers making catches and the guys up front doing the blocking. This week, your offensive line, a semifinalist for the Joe Moore Award, honoring the best offensive line unit in all of college football. Individually, Keelan Rutledge, a semifinalist for the Lombardi Award. First Georgia Tech lineman to be named a Lombardi Award semifinalist since 1992. Only 3 offensive linemen nationally are on the Lombardi semifinalist list. Keelan is one of them. He's also the only guard. And then also on Tuesday, Joe Fusel was named Military Bowl STEM Scholar Athlete. A lot of people might be surprised to know that Joe Fusel has the most career starts on your team. 43, 35 of them in a row.
44 will be Saturday.
44 will be Saturday. And I know you have an affinity for those interior linemen because you wore one yourself. The job the offensive line has done this year, and it's not like you returned every single starter either, but they've helped this offense rank number 2 in the nation in yards per play. Let's talk, though, about Keelan and Joe, what they've meant as interior linemen. So much of what they do goes underappreciated or unheralded, but boy, they just are as instrumental as anybody in how potent this offense has been.
In any sport, you've got to be strong up the middle, right? In baseball, you catcher, pitcher, second base, shortstop, center field. Basketball, the center, the forwards, the guys that play in the box. And in football, it's the interior of our offensive line, obviously the quarterback and running back, the interior of the defensive line, linebackers, and safeties. To be strong up the middle is, it's the I don't even know what the word is. Y'all know what I'm saying. It's how you build a team, or it's the definition. I don't know. It's not the right word, but it works enough. So, of a strong team. And the interior guys, especially when you're breaking in a new center, right, to have those 2 guards returning, it's such a peace of mind for the center, and that's a part of the group that, when you're breaking in a new one, we got 2 guys that are really good players, and they have their ups and downs. I mean, that's going to happen. Right? You break a new center in, there's going to be things early on. I don't care how much, how many practice reps or scrimmage reps. Right, there's nothing can replace being on the field and playing in the game, but to have those 2 guys next to that center have really helped to ease and accelerate the growth of that position into where now, knock on wood, they're playing better each week inside, and then it's fun to watch. It's fun to watch a group grow. And I said in the press conference today that it's a true representation of what an entire football team is, and then a football team's a representation of what the O-line is. It's a collection of people that have to work together as one, or you're not going to be successful.
In the case of Joe, he was somebody who came here initially as a walk-on. He graduates in December with his civil engineering degree. He's been one of those guys, as you alluded to, since almost day one, and he's been on the ground floor of this painstaking rebuild of not just the offensive line, but the program in general. And I know Joe will lead this place.
Wasn't it? It was bad.
Who
was the coach of that line?
Wasn't easy on the eyes.
Who's the coach of that O-line?
You made a nice change there, getting G-Pin, right?
Thank goodness.
Yeah. But, Joe is somebody it seems you have a lot of fondness for because he's somebody as a walk-on. He wanted to come here for the quality of the engineering degree and also to extend his football career. And somebody who might have been lightly regarded when he arrived and has instead just become so durable, so dependable for you at left guard. A guy like Joe, it seems he's one of those guys you're going to hold close to your heart.
Oh, yeah, for so many reasons. Joe, I could talk about Joe forever. Just so many things that we've been through together and, times we've had. And it's, this is a guy now as a sophomore, right? So, my first year as the head coach, as a sophomore, he was the second leading vote getter for team captain on the entire team. So that shows you a lot about who he is, how he is in the locker room. For the last 2 years, he's interned with my former college roommate and one of my closest friends, Brett Basquin. And I get a text from Brett last Friday and said, "Hey, just wanted you to know we just hired Joe full time." And so he'll be working civil engineer, site design, development with my roommate. So
how awesome is that?
It's so cool.
That's great.
It's what's awesome about it is Georgia Tech. All right, that's what's really cool about it. The football is our job, is my job. All right, but it's all the other things that Georgia Tech brings that make it such a special place, and to have people that just continue to keep paying it forward. You can't ask for anything better.
It's not a bad bye week for Joe Fusel, but I know he's ready to put those cleats back on. Look, the civil engineering site design, that'll come in due time, but time for him to pave some holes for your backs and your quarterback on Saturday versus Boston College, and that'll be the task at hand for the Jackets.
Pave some holes. You caught yourself on that one.
Yeah, I kind of got.
How about bulldoze?
A little mixed metaphor. Yeah, let's go with bulldoze. I like that. Joe probably knows his way around a bulldozer. They'll certainly look to act like one on Saturday. Georgia Tech versus Boston College, 3:30 Tomey. So now they're got to hit another timeout. Back for more of the Brent Key Coaches Show, driven by Hyundai on the Georgia Tech Sports Network. We are continuing to get you ready to count you down to Georgia Tech versus Boston College this Saturday at Alumni Stadium in Chestnut Hill. Tommy Slether, 3:30, our network airtime on the Georgia Tech Sports Network at 1:30. But for now, let's continue the conversation here on the Brent Key Coaches Show, driven by Hyundai, live tonight from Hattie B's in West Midtown. And during the commercial break, Brent, you got an addition to your wardrobe here. We got John, big Georgia Tech fan, with us at Hattie B's. He's a native, folks, of Birmingham, England. You're, of course, from Birmingham, Alabama. And he just gifted you a they call it a kit, obviously, a soccer jersey from his Birmingham City Football Club, their professional club in Birmingham, England. And on the back it says, Coach Key, go Jackets. That is pretty cool.
This is really cool.
Yeah.
It trumps anything you've ever given me, Andy.
Which is really nothing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, this is
not.
This
it's
is
a very
more,
low bar.
This is more.
Plastic knife, no. Very, very low bar to clear. That is really cool, though.
It's so cool.
And you know what you'll also like? You know who is also a native of Birmingham, England, like John? The late, great Ozzy Osbourne was a native of Birmingham. All the more
Danzig?
It's sister city right there.
Huh?
You in Birmingham, England, it looks like.
I like Danzig.
You like Danzig, too?
I've gone Danzig this week.
Why Danzig this week?
Actually, the last 2 weeks.
Okay. Any particular reason?
Yeah, since that game last Saturday.
Just trying to get the rage out?
Yeah.
I like that. That's really cool from John, by the way.
No,
That's
John,
awesome.
thank you so much, man. This is incredible.
And just shows that Georgia Tech brand goes worldwide, John. We really appreciate you coming, and that's a really cool gift. Very cool. I'm going to follow Birmingham City FC from now on here. We'll get you guys promoted back into the Premier League before long, my friend. Earlier today, Coach, you released your injury report, and only Will Benton, your long snapper, is on the injury report for Boston College, which means Jai Gilmore is available for Boston College. Matthew Alexander will be available for Boston College. Miles Forrestal will be back for Boston College. And remarkably, Amari Harvey will be available for Saturday's game. That is borderline unbelievable. For those who last saw Amari and his dislocated ankle versus Syracuse, that he could be dressed out on Saturday, a little more than a month, if that, after suffering that injury. That's just that's tremendous news. And also, I think, just says volumes about your medical staff and athletic trainers, what they've done with your players to get them back and in full health.
We've about a year and a half ago, I think it was, when we brought Brad Kimball in, and he's our head athletic trainer, and him and his crew. When I became the head coach, we had 2 athletic trainers, right, and I think 1 intern. All right, now we have our head athletic trainer. We have 5 full-time assistants. We have a head of physical therapy, right, and we have 2 interns. So we've increased it by, 5, 6, 7, by the 5 people, 6 people. And when you're talking about the training room and athletic training, and that's not counting all the student assistants we have. Mm-hmm. Right? Manpower is so critical. You got to think we practice on 2 fields, right? Working, there's 10 different positions going on at one time. Right? So you have to have somebody to be able to spot and watch those things, because, if a true trauma ever was to occur, right? Every second matters. And I'm not even talking about the rehabilitation, the rehab, the maintenance, all those things. The manpower is so critical at that position, or in that department, and they do such a great job. We hired a couple of new ones this year. The physical therapy, what Mike does in there, has totally changed the game for us in as far as getting people back. So you got a full-time physical therapist that's working with them, and not just, okay, the trainer has to watch practice and we have to go somebody else has to take them, or they have to do it on their own. It's been a game changer for us. Player availability is the greatest commodity there is right now, especially when you get into November. So if you guys remember last year, this was the time of year where we were losing a lot of guys, and made a really strong commitment in the off season, or really at the end of last season, that in the transfer portal and recruiting, we had to develop and increase our depth on the team, and we've done that. It's helped. Now we're still not where I want to be or where we need to be. That's why you're always recruiting. You're always looking at guys and trying to find the right mix of guys and put them in the right place to be able to help you. And it shows. The player availability shows so much, and what it really shows in are probably the things people don't see as much is the depth on special teams and the ability to play really good, solid special teams. And I think those guys have done a great job too.
I don't want to neglect Savion Riley either. He's
Savion's
off the out
back.
list. Somebody who got injured first series of the season versus Colorado. He's been waiting patiently and attacking his rehab. So he'll be dressed out as well versus Boston College.
Harrison Moore's back.
Harrison Moore is back, so another body back on the offensive line. Tanalo Tupuola started the last 2 games for you at center. So, you're getting Jai Gilmore back. You're getting Savion Riley back. You're getting Amari Harvey able to dress out. But I think the one that probably turns the most heads is Amari. You said it yourself. This was like a 1 in 1,000 chance of it not being a season-ending injury when Amari went down versus Syracuse. You talk about somebody who's put his head down and just been tenacious in his rehab, and here he is. I'm sure that all those thoughts were spinning in his head when he went down versus Syracuse, and this might be my last play ever as a Georgia Tech Yellow Jacket, and to have a chance to see number 3 back out on that field, all the tangibles and intangibles that he brings to that defensive backfield spot. The presence of Amari, it can't be understated.
No, man, Amari's awesome. I think I've talked a lot about how much he's matured and how much he's grown and he's the best version of himself he's ever been. Now, just because you're cleared medically, all right, look, we're never going to do anything to put our players in harm's way. All right, the health, the safety. I mean, it's imperative that we make sure that our guys are able to walk around, 20 years from now, right? So, with that comes now the medical part of it. The physical part of it is one thing, but now you have the mental part. When you have injuries in football, right, there's a mental aspect that you still have to overcome as well. And so you still work through that with all those players. And when you get in that same position or get close to it, and all of a sudden you have those flashbacks of like, is it gonna happen again? And you got to play through it. And the only way to do it is have reps and to play. And so. We'll see where he's at, but he's been cleared, and I'm excited. I've spent a lot of good time with him this week. In really the last 3 weeks with this process of him coming back, and fired up for him.
Yeah,
really
absolutely. Just to be able to put those pads on and that helmet and that number 3 jersey, stalking that sideline. He's itching to get back out and get some pass breakups and help continue to wreak havoc for your Georgia Tech secondary. On the injury report here for
Look at that jacket.
Yeah, watching some NFL Network walk in. I don't think you have that in your closet, do you?
How do you know?
It might be a little too fashion forward, because I feel like I would have seen it by now.
You have one.
Oh, absolutely. I do what I can on a broadcaster's salary. But you got to make it work for you.
There you go.
There you go, yeah. Before we go to break, since our first time visiting with you since the North Carolina State game, Jordan Allen, 5 catches, 110 yards, became just the 6th true freshman in Georgia Tech history to have a 100-yard receiving game. He has really held down the fort in the absence of Malik Rutherford. Somebody that you were able to flip late from just up the road, native of Lawrenceville, Georgia. But can you shed some light on your relationship with him, what ultimately brought him into the fold here at Georgia Tech, and a guy who's come right in and not skipped a beat?
Yeah, he wanted to be here.
Ultimately, that's what every recruiting success story boils down to, right?
No, it's recruiting, it's relationships. He comes from a great high school program. He's competitive. He's a track guy, and he can run. He is fast. Now it's funny watching him because if you guys remember, was it Gardner Webb?
It was Gardner Webb, yeah.
Where he caught that screen and they got caught.
It went for 74 yards, but yeah, he was stopped shy of the goal line.
And so he's probably in the top 2 or 3 guys speed-wise on the team, and I love it. I love it. I am not complaining one bit, y'all. All right, he's still not running as fast as he can run with the football in his hand because he is determined. That sucker is up here. It's tight. Sometimes he has 2 hands on it trying to run full speed. I mean, he's a real deal track guy now. All right. Track guys don't run like this, so he's still learning the ball security part and still being able to keep his speed. But I will not. I'm not complaining one bit. He's got once he catches it, keep it, because he's got wheels now. He can roll.
Boy,
he's a stronger guy too. He's a thicker, stronger guy than you would think.
He's made some tough catches over the middle on some slants. I remember on that first series versus Duke, coming in on for Malik Rutherford. Boy, you think about the prospect of Jordan Allen, Malik Rutherford, Eric Rivers, Jamal Haynes, all being on the field at the same time. That is a lot of speed that you have to corral if you're a defense. Isaiah at 6'4", yeah, he's got some jackrabbit in him. A lot of speed, and like we had said before in this program, you can't kill what you can't catch, and speed creates a lot of problems, and Georgia Tech will certainly look to do so for Boston College on Saturday. Time to hit another timeout. We're once again live from Hattie B's West Midtown here for the Brent Key Coaches Show, driven by Hyundai, and we're back after this on the Georgia Tech Sports Network. A quote that you heard from Nick Saban, who heard it from Bill Belichick: to fight in the Baltics, you must train in the Baltics. And I'm sure that weather forecast, that cold snap that rolled through Atlanta at the beginning of the week, you guys practicing in upper 30s, low 40s, that probably had to be a good experience for Saturday versus Boston College. I saw the forecast high about 43 degrees, but nothing you guys haven't already experienced this week. So, you might have just looked at the mercury on Monday and said, man, okay, whatever. But, it probably will help you guys a little bit on Saturday, you would think, right? Taking a look at the forecast now for
I look like
Saturday.
five times a day. So 37 wind chill, 41. That's at the end of the game.
Those guys, they're
43 at kickoff, 41 at the end. It's not that. Cold is whatever. I mean, you can't control any of that stuff anyway. So it's the wind, right? In the beginning of the week, it was up to like 22, 24 mile an hour winds. Right now, gusts are around 14,
okay.
15 at kickoff, 14, so diminishing a little bit. And I think the rain is going to hold off until
Sunday, right, or at least overnight.
No.
Okay.
9 o'clock.
9 o'clock. So,
but it's been creeping up. That's what I do. It's because all that factors into on the coin toss. Not that we've won a coin toss yet this year, but that's hard to do.
Oh, I know.
Next year, we're going to decide before the first game, heads or tails. And we're going to stick with it the entire year.
Yeah, the winless streak on coin tosses this year has been unbelievable.
It really has. But, the weather's such a it changes a lot of things. Are you going to take the ball? Are you going to defer? When's it coming in? When's the wind? Which end of the field are you going to choose to play in? And, for example, we're playing up at Duke, and we chose to kick into the wind to start the second half. All right. Well, it was kind of. It was blowing. Wind caught it. Ends up coming down about the 5. They returned it. I think they got it up about to 30 or 35 yard line something. Right. Yeah. You say, we kick off in the second half. Well, flip it now in the fourth quarter. Now we've got the wind with us. All right. So now we got the advantage with being able to throw the football, and we hit a couple of those deeper shots, and one of them actually the wind got too much of it. The one that we threw, but. So much of that's a part of the game because you don't know what the deciding factor in the game is going to be when that's going to happen. So we try to take a lot of the guesswork out of it.
Football is just the job. Meteorology is the passion for Brent Key, it sounds like. I like that. Well, I know that whatever the forecast may read on Saturday at 3:30, you will see a very familiar face stalking that opposing sideline, and that's Bill O'Brien, BC's second-year head coach. You had relayed this story at your press conference on Tuesday that when you and your mom came for your official visit to Georgia Tech, the graduate assistant with the Yellow Jackets who drove you guys around campus was Bill O'Brien. He was GA here for, your first 2 years at Georgia Tech, and then became running backs coach. And then when you yourself decided to become a GA back in the 2001 season, Bill O'Brien had been promoted to offensive coordinator. So this is a bond that is been forged now for 20-plus years. What do you think that moment will be like, seeing Bill O'Brien before the game, somebody who has influenced you in your career in so many ways?
I just saw him a few months ago, so no big deal.
Well, I know, but
I'm not
under these circumstances, though.
I hope we kick his ass. Well,
I'm sure that feeling is mutual with OB.
Yeah, no question.
Yeah.
We laughed about it back in the head coaches meetings back in May. We were down at Amelia Island at the ACC head coaches meetings, and me and him and our wives had kind of pulled off to the side, and it was during the NBA playoffs. Oh, it was the Knicks Celtics.
Okay.
So we kind of pulled away and we're watching the game and talking, and we kind of laughed and said, "You might as well just give each other the game plan and take our helmets off and just start punching the crap out of each other." So
That sounds like a conversation you and Bill O'Brien would have.
I mean, he's an Ivy League guy. I mean, I'm a Georgia Tech guy. I mean, you're trying to insinuate something like
nothing.
Neanderthal
I'm just
there.
saying, like that first handshake, that might be the highest combined IQ of any two head coaches in the FBS between you and Bill O'Brien. Certainly make a compelling case for it. That's a compliment, Brent.
Well, it's a
compliment.
It's definitely higher than a few.
You're not going to name names. But no, does it add an extra layer of challenge because you're facing the guy, you guys are so familiar with each other's sensibilities as head coaches. Does that add just sort of a little extra swerve to the matchup?
I mean, I'm just a former player. I mean, he's been a head coach for a couple of years. I've got a lot of years of study on him.
Oh, yeah.
As a head coach.
Was he one of those guys when he was, a position coach, then offensive coordinator for O'Leary like you were, that you guys aged in dog years, as you're fond of saying?
Oh, yeah.
Working for Coach O'Leary?
And that is a Mac McQuarterism. Dog years.
Dog years with Coach O'Brien. How has he influenced just the way you evaluate the game of football, evaluate talent? You learn so much from the guys you surround yourself with early in your career, and this is all genuine. What you've said about Coach O'Brien, how has he kind of shaped your philosophy, your outlook on coaching and roster evaluation as you've gone through your career?
Well, when he was a coach and we were players, he was one of the coaches that the players all respected but had a great relationship with. And I learned at an early age as a player that you can do both. You can be respected as a coach but also have great relationships and have that friend aspect as well, but have a separation there and understand what a coach's role is. I learned that from those guys that I played for. And then when you're an O lineman, right, you graduate and you become a graduate assistant. Look, there's so many things. You're living in this world where you've watched the end zone copy of the front, and all of a sudden you get thrust into this. And so originally I was supposed to be like, it was offensive GA and a defensive GA, right? And O'Leary had created this third spot so they could kind of learn how to do it, right? So I come in and I'm going to be this third spot, this third GA. Well, the person that was the offensive GA that had just moved from that third spot up and decides to leave and take another job in June or July. I mean, it was like a month before the season. Shane Beamer. Mm-hmm. And so he leaves and, okay, big boy, now you got it all. But now I got to break down film. I got to do all this. I'll never forget. I stayed up all night before the very first game of the season. I had probably put it off and, didn't do it when I was supposed to or something. But no, I worked all night trying to get these breakdowns right. And they were so, between him, Coach O'Leary, it was, like if there was one little thing out of place, well, we had to hand it to him before we got on the bus to go to the game. So I handed him a whole packet of stuff like this. And I'm like, I hope he doesn't see any mistakes in it. I know there's probably a few. The whole thing was wrong. It was horrible. It was the worst. And he told me, this is the absolute worst breakdown I've ever seen in my lifetime. The absolute worst I've ever seen. And I'm like, but I stayed up. He goes, I don't care. I don't care what it took to get it done, to get it right. But then you spend so much time with those guys, and then when I was a graduate assistant, he was really good to me, really, really good to me as far as, outside of the football. We'd go out to eat, go over his house, those things. Colleen, his wife, just great, great people. And that was another thing I learned, just when guys bust their butt and do things the right way, all right, yeah, you there is a respect that you show, and you can't have relationships with the younger coaches. And the biggest thing, though, I was out at Houston one time watching when he was the head coach of the Texans. And I was visiting out there for a couple of days. Gotsey was out there coaching, and a bunch of them, and a bunch of guys I knew. And I'm listening in a meeting, in a staff meeting, and he's talking about toughness. He's talking about, toughness is, when you turn a film on, you should be able to see toughness three ways, and that's something I talk about all the time. So a lot of things I've gotten from him, and just really respect him as a coach, and good football coach and done a great job.
Yeah, he's had a tough year with injuries and everything else, but the kinds of teams he rolls out. He knows that you're going to get his best shot on Saturday, but that'll be a really cool moment in time for you and Coach O'Brien, although I understand you do have a little bit of beef with O'Brien because at his press conference this week, he incorrectly called you a walk-on at Georgia Tech.
Right, which is, like, to me, and
that's bulletin board material.
Well, so here's the thing. Joe was a walk-on. Mm-hmm. Joe's a much, much better player than I ever thought about being. Right? That is something reserved for a very special group of guys that I respect so much. So I wasn't in that club. And then he said I was. I was like, me and my mom rode around with you in the van. Like, you drove us from the Marquee downtown around campus. And so he shot me a text today. So
okay, good. I'm glad he at least gave you the mea culpa. Got to hit our final timeout. We'll wrap up the conversation on the BC Eagles getting you set for Toby's Leather on Saturday in Chestnut Hill. It's the Brent Key Coaches Show driven by Hyundai live from Hattie B's West Midtown. We're back after this on the Georgia Tech Sports Network. All right, Georgia Tech out of the bye. Back to work Saturday at Alumni Stadium in Chestnut Hill as they take on the Boston College Eagles. 3:30, Tommy's Leather. Our network airtime on the Georgia Tech Sports Network at 1:30. We invite you to stick around once we're off the air. Stay with us for the good word with Chris Mooneyham and Justin Hanover. We, of course, want to extend our thanks to Hattie B's West Midtown for the hospitality tonight. Coach, let's talk about this Boston College team. And they've had a rough go of it this fall. We had noted a lot of injuries making a mess of their depth chart, but this is still a team that played Louisville tough on the road. It was a one-score game in the second half with Notre Dame when they visited Alumni Stadium. What challenges will BC present offensively? They are a team that ranks 26th in the nation in passing offense, so they can definitely throw it around the yard.
Well, just the style of play, number one, it's going to be one of those things where, we've got to each individual player has to go out and they have to do their job. They can't try to do something else other than what they have to do. I have a feeling I know how the game's going to play out as far as the style that they want to play, and we've got to be efficient. Like we got to score touchdowns on offense. All right, I love Aiden. All right, but I want to see him kick PATs. Bottom line. All right, we got to get stops and get off the field on defense. We got to get back to playing good situational football, playing complementary football, playing together. Because they're an inside run team. They'll complement it with their little bit of outside zone, some of the pin and pull stuff. Pretty good amount of play action. So it's going to be we got to do our job. All right, and we got to do it well. We got to play hard. I want to see us get back in. I wasn't mad about us losing the game 2 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. As mad as about losing our identity. We lost our identity. Now we got to get that back.
Time to get that back, and what better time to find it than at 3:30 on Saturday. Really quickly, defensively, Boston College, give us a little thumbnail sketch of what they'll present on Saturday.
From their defense?
Yeah, their defense.
They'll play a couple different fronts, but they're going to play tight coverage. Okay. They're going to play a little more man. So the deep safety is going to be down low, and we got to make our shots count. We got to be able to throw the ball efficiently.
Sounds good. That's the game plan. We'll see you on Saturday. He's Brent Key. I'm Andy DeMentor. Thanks once again for listening to the Brent Key Coaches Show, everyone.
Go Jackets.
It's Dari from R.S. Andrews, and people always ask, what's the R.S. in R.S. Andrews?